Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet, in the world, in the universe. Welcome to this week's sharing of Harmonize2Energize. My name is Terry Matthews. It's been my pleasure and privilege to introduce Harmonize2Energize to you all for the past 5 years, live and now online. So welcome everybody. I hope you're having a good day, whatever time it is in your part of the world. Harmonize2Energize was created back in 2019 to introduce aspects of the art of self-help JIN SHIN JYUTSU. Now, JIN SHIN JYUTSU, for those of you that are absolutely brand new, is an art of harmonizing life energy, life force, sometimes called prana, as it moves through pathways in our body, similar to what acupuncturists understand and work with from traditional Chinese medicine, traditional Japanese medicine. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's tweaked or adjusted by hundreds, maybe almost 1,000 different tiny points. In JIN SHIN JYUTSU, we have what Mary Burmeister coined 26 safety energy locks, and they are the diameter of the palm of your hand, not mine, and here goes AI already. And how we do it with JIN SHIN JYUTSU is we place our hands on these safety energy locks, 26 to the left and the right of our spine, 3 in the arms, to adjust the flow and the quality of the energy as it moves or not through our body. What do I mean or not? In JIN SHIN JYUTSU, in any art of life energy or energy balancing, our thoughts, our actions, our words, our actions can adjust the frequency and quality of the energy that we can bring through to the world and who we be. So we're fortunate with JIN SHIN JYUTSU that by placing palms of our hands, back of our hands, or thumbs on these safety energy locks, we can adjust that flow so that it becomes more harmonious. And really, that's what we're talking about. It's an art of harmonizing. If you want to know what it strictly means, it's the art of the creator through compassionate, I will say human here, because in Japan, there is an emphasis on the male gender. And so it's the art of the creator through compassionate man, but really it's human. And Hu, in some traditions, is understood to be the heart. And an art of compassion comes from our connection to our hearts, how open our hearts are, how pure our hearts are. And so when we place our hands on ourselves, we are actually loving our energy field. We're allowing that energy to enter into us, or at least become more harmonized. So every now and again, and this week is no exception, I have the privilege and pleasure of introducing a guest presenter. Some of you may know her from before, at least twice before, I believe, but it's my pleasure to be with, at least briefly, Tais Schebela, a Brazilian JIN SHIN JYUTSU practitioner, a geobiologist, who I met many moons ago in Scottsdale at the JIN SHIN JYUTSU office, and who now lives in London. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you briefly that Tais is going to be talking about the tarot. And for those of you that are familiar with Mary Burmeister's teachings at this level, she in fact used or studied aspects of the tarot from this book, Paul Foster Case, which entered her understanding of numerology and some of her understandings of the safety energy locks, therefore. So without further ado, I think I said that already, I'm going to pass you over completely to Tais, and I'm going to disappear for a bit. Welcome, Tais.
Hello. So I'm able to see everyone here. Thank you, Terry, again for inviting me. It was like a long 1 year talking about that, and I'm very happy to talk, to share with you some insights, like I was saying. So I'm started studying Jin Shin Jutsu and self-help in 1996 with Carlos. And in 2000, I did my first Jin Shin Jutsu 5 days class with Wayne, and I'm very happy to have him here too. And so most of my Jin Shin Jutsu philosophy knowledge comes from this Jin Shin philosophy that I was introduced by Wayne and other teachers. It's 25 years almost studying that. But I am graduating philosophy too. It's like a traditional Western philosophy. So my approach to the Jin Shin Jutsu as physio philosophy is always talking with a bit more rationality than maybe Mary would like, but I have 1,000 books here to show where my insights comes from. And I do tarot readings. That's one of the things I do for a living. I'm a therapist, a Jin Shin therapist, and a tarot therapist for over 25 years. And so I'm pretty comfortable to answer questions or being teased. If someone wanna tease me in the end, I'm very happy to. So thank you all. And I like to do something as we are together every time. I like to do this first self-help. So we remember we are one. So for those that are new and for those that are newer, we are always new in the art. Just breathing. For those we're gonna watch later. Okay. So first, I would like to tell you where I come from with my insights, which is a book that David gave me when I made my 40 years old, which is 12 years ago, was my 40 years old present, was this book that was Mary's notes about tarot and numerology and Jin Shin Jutsu. So everything I'm gonna share with you now, and it's my birthday in 3 days, so like, oh, okay, 12 years later, I feel ready to share a bit of my thoughts. Is some of the real notes of Mary and some of my understanding about how she was seeing these numbers and the safety energy locks in this our journey. So the first thing that got me, I studied with Wayne for a long time. We always heard numbers are functions, numbers are intentions. And what I found here in that book, her notes, was there is a vast, and then she correct, great difference between numbers and figures. Numbers are representative of force which operate on the highest spiritual plans. Figures are the external hieroglyphs of these spiritual powers as they may be seen and studied upon this other physical plane. So when reading that from, I'm sorry for my accent, reading that from her book, there is a lot of controversy sometimes, and in Jin Shin Jutsu for 25 years, I had these discussions many times. How do you know Mary actually cares that much about the numerology and the tarot in the Jin Shin Jutsu perspective? That's how we know. She was studying that, and she's saying the numbers are in this representative of the force that operate in universe. So that's when you think about safety energy locks are functions, are numbers. And what that has to do with the tarot, because the tarot are the figures we are able to think about these functions in the universe. That's what my understanding is, tarot therapist anyway. So, and why does matter? What are we talking about when you talk about the tarot? So this this tarot is the mythic tarot. So it's all the Greek mythology. So that's Dionysius as the fool. This is the Marseille tarot, which is the mat, which is the fool again. And I know I should be sharing the screen, but I am not. So this is how our journey begins. So what the tarot, talking about the major arcanas, what the tarot is teaching us, why we use the tarot as a way to study the universal forces operating in Earth, because the tarot with this, it figures, represents our own journey in the planet. So what it means, we start all as the fool, and guess what? Every time when we complete the journey, the world is the 4 elements. When we complete that, it's the safety energy lock 22 with all 4 elements. We got back to the full. So when we think we complete something, we are in the beginning of a new cycle. Why I'm showing that? Because then we can think about the safety energy locks in the same way, because specifically, I know it's a self-help approach here, but I'm getting there. I would love to talk, if we have a time, about specifically safety energy lock 15, which is the devil card in the tarot, and 16, which is the tower card in the tarot. And the 15 is the last safety energy lock of the second lap, which is supposed to release all the sadness. And the 16 is the first safety energy lock of the third lap, which is supposed to release the anger, but that's the tower card. And the devil card, which people are always scared when show up in a reading. So one of the things that I would like to share, and I hope is start getting clearly as I talk, is how do I know Mary is actually using the Paul Foster Case book to talk about the tarot and about the intelligence. So how Mary talk about the intelligence of renew intelligence and all of that, because in this little book she wrote, okay, it's here. So that's maybe a bit boring. It's my philosopher approach here, but I think it's safe when we check what we are talking about. So in this little book, she wrote Secrets of the Universe, Tarot, Paul Foster Case and Dr. Carl Jung. So she was literally coming from that perspective. And as a philosopher, I think it's always important when we are understanding a thought of someone, especially when this person is not alive anymore, we need to understand what this person was thinking, what Mary was thinking. And she was thinking the safety energy locks. And you all know, the ones that did the 5-day classes know this safety energy locks and talking about the intelligences and the qualities. The ones that did self-help, they have this in the book about the safety energy locks. So she has some important things in this book, and one of them is talking about the zero. And the zero, as we know, 6th step is our main central. And she says, denotes absolute freedom from every limitations, whatever, sign of infinite and eternal conscious. And the zero is the full, is where we start and where we end and start over. And the zero is the 6th step. She wrote that here. So why we try to be so smart if being the fool is the whole point. So the journey of this awareness, the physiophilosophy, JIN SHIN JYUTSU with the zero, and she talk about the egg and the universe. It is about to be the fool. And as far Wayne always said, she would say like, oh, you don't need to know that much, just be, because it's all about absolute freedom from every limitation. But it's something that we have to achieve. I would say it's something that we have to find inside of us, because we are the fool. We are the one doing the journey. So we are this conscious that walk through this life to understand we are free. And that's why I want to talk about the devil card and the tower card. And that's she calls sentient intelligence. And she took that from the book, from Paul Foster Case book. So for those who are familiar with that safety energy locks qualities, and those in the 5-day classes, all that intelligence, sacred intelligence, measure intelligence, all these qualities, if Terry has this to share later for those, all these qualities she took literally as a quote from Paul Foster Case. So when Mary was thinking about these qualities of the numbers, translating culturally the JIN SHIN JYUTSU from Master Murai to that awareness, that's Mary's philosophy. That's a difference, main and huge difference between Mary's studies. Was she was literally looking into that deeper level. So as far I understand, I'm going to talk about the safety energy lock number 1. When you are doing maybe technical, let's say, approach, JIN SHIN JYUTSU, or the art of JIN SHIN, you were touching your knee, but when you are deep, your awareness of what we are doing through the numbers, and I think the tarot is that figures we can study, we are going way beyond our knees. We are actually touching that energy, she said, is the function of universe, that energy that connects with the numbers. So the energy is where our conscious is, right? So then from the Fool, and I'm not going to the whole 22 cards. From the Fool, we have the Magician, which is the number 1. And the Magician in this card is literally going to be helped by Mercury. He got the 4 elements. And in this card, which the one I use is number 1, is the Magician. So that's the first step. That's number 1. What a Magician is doing there, he got a lot of tools and he has to learn how to use. What can we say about ourselves when we think about the Magician and R as our first step? We had all these tools in life, and we can think about tools as JIN SHIN JYUTSU, astrology, numerology, engineering, technology, medicine. That's all tools. And our journey is to learn how to use these tools to finally realize we are total and complete. So every time we do the circle again, we upgrade our awareness. So one of the things that I found on the Paul Forster case and Mary's notes about number 1, as we know, connects extreme high with extreme depth, hidden intelligence. 1 is the first mover. And like, oh, okay, we know that, the number 1, and I would like to invite you to touch your safety and lock number 1. I don't know if there is anyone that doesn't know where is it. So it's here. Okay, Sunny, it's here. I would invite you to touch the number 1 while I'm talking a bit about the Magician, because since that's the first step of the journey, and we heard, oh, it's connect the highest, extreme height with extreme depth. And it is the intelligence of the transparency, like, ooh, now it got quite esoteric. Then I check what is Mary's notes about that. Letting light shine through. And I was like, oh, what that has to do with our movement, what it has to do in put ourselves in movement, like the safety energy lock number 1. What let the light from above to below manifest. And then there is a note here. It says, the intelligence of transparency, which is number 1, it's rule our movement, means letting light shine through. Give free passage to downward and outward of superconscious, which means being this transparency so our movement in life can receive this light from the extreme high to this extreme depth, which we are right now. So when we connect with our number 1, if we think about the tarot, we are putting ourselves in this element of receiving this energy from the highest level to the earth. So we can start a movement, we can start our journey of conscious. So we arrive as the Fool with our luggage. That's why I like this one. See, he has a little bag. That's all we arrive with. And it can be from past lives, but it can be our genetic, it can be our cultural, It can be many things. We don't need to even think about past lives. We can think about when we're born, our genetics building. If you want to expand and think about past lives, fine. But if you don't, it's still true. We still arrive with something to start with. And then when we start getting some awareness, which can be between 1 and 3 years old, 4 and 5, or the first 15 years of our lives, we start managing our tools with the number 1. We start being aware of the tools and getting to our movement. So through the tarot, we walk through life. Is this the magician? And the magician is it's not like a magic, it's more about learning how to handle the tools we have. And this awareness in the body, number 1, start moving through life, which is in the tarot goes from 1 to 22. Then you start over. There's a circle. So show you here. Yeah, see, that's Ouroboros. It's 0. So we start in the 0, you come back to the 0, which is the 4 elements. So 4 elements that manifest in this body, or 5th element, and come back to the 6th deck. So, okay, very nice. And then we have some challenge in life. So we're going from 1 to 9, and then 9 end cycles, which is in the tarot is the Hermit, which is represent the past, but represent ending cycles. And we have to keep doing this 9 ending cycles. And then we have life. The call is the Wheel of Fortune. It's number 10. Oh, 10 is abundance of life. And I would say abundance of life is life itself. If we tend to think between abundance as prosperity, but life itself, which here is the destiny, is abundant of experience. It is when the magician can experiment what he learned using its tools, right? His tools, her tools. So then that's number 10. That's we start over. Oh, number 1 again. So it's a magician in action in life. That's 10. That's abundance of life. Then we have the 11, and which in the Paul Foster case vision, but that's a topic for another, it's a special class, is the card of justice, but in some tarots is the card of strength. But I'm not going there now. But for us in Jin Shin Jyutsu, because Mary was studying that, the 11 is R11, and I'm gonna suggest some path for us. So R11 is here, which is just release the luggage. And in the tarot relationship, Mary did was the justice. So what is interesting perspective thinking? We have the 10 as abundance, which is life itself. And when I say life itself, it's the world, is what happens out there. Then we have justice. What this justice is? Justice is 7th depth, is light. If we connect with that, the justice we get is again 1 and 1. highest, what does it say that in English? Let's say extreme height connecting with extreme depth in double. 11. That's the justice. So you connect the first with your movement. You connect yourself with this movement. It's the prime mover. And then you hold your 11th and you connect yourself and your reality with that same energy. You bring that 1 and 1. And if we think 11 and 11, 22 is how it complete the cycle. So releasing the 11, bringing justice to life, and justice as a divine justice, not necessarily the human justice, because that would be an interesting discussion what human justice is. We have number 12. And I'm not teaching you how to count numbers. I don't know that. And number 12 is the Hangman. And why are you going to the scary cards? Well, because the planet, we're kind of living in that moment right now. So, Hangman. 12. Right? Here, you got Prometheus. That's the mythology, which was condemned to stay there forever because he was a god, so he wouldn't die. And then an eagle would come and eat his liver, and it would regenerate at night. During the day, eagle come, eat his liver, third up, forever. And then we have a version of the Marseille Tarot, which is the Hangman, that for me always looked very comfortable in its position. And if you see, it's not hang like like that. He's just there. And there is a number 4 here, which is another thing. So 12 goes, it's here for those who don't know yet where our 12 is. So in the middle of the neck. Then I'm with Mary's notes here. Interesting, Mary said, and Paul Foster Case said, the 11's faithful intelligence, which again connect with this faithful, that this higher energy comes to our life and bring us justice. But then we have the 12, which we all complain about, is the realizing that we have no control. Like I told you, we learn until the 9 to using our tools. And then we got the Wheel of Fortune, number 10, everything start again. And we have the co-create with others, co-create with the world. So the 12 says, not my will, but thy will. Which is, it's not actually releasing control. It's understanding there is nothing to be controlled. There's just nothing, because that's life itself. So we don't need to be esoteric here. We can just be realistic. Cannot control anything. And what I think is very interesting in this relationship with JIN SHIN and me extending in the Prometheus is that the ego comes and eat his liver, and liver is connected with control, right? There is a relationship between the third ebb and power and control and liver. And so when we release the 12s, we actually are not putting ourselves in the hangman position. We are set ourselves free from this terrible destiny of the fantasy of control. You know what I mean? We release ourselves from being the hangman when we release our 12s. And actually, when we have this chronic pain in the neck, it is about saying yes and no. And I remember perfectly Wayne's class saying that. Yes and no is how we can control our lives. So the other side of the hangman is when I'm not able to say yes or no. So, wow, it has to do with boundaries, right? The hangman is someone that has no power, no boundaries. And that's number 3. Oh, it's related with the door, boundaries. It's for those that study, just sharing some insights on that. And for those that starting as a self-help, just understand there is nothing to be controlled except our own will. Because from the beginning, we are free. We are the responsible to say yes or no. But our 12s needs to be comfortable. So as far as I understand, when I say not my will, but thy will, it's not about my own power, about my life. It's not about my choices. It's about others' choices. That's when I say not my will, but thy will, or wherever what life presents in this abundant experience. But definitely it's not about, oh, let them do whatever they want, because it is a tree. When we arrive on the 12, we better have our safety energy lock number 3 open, which is the door, and very regulated. Ooh, we open the door. Let's work a bit with the 3. I'm not gonna enter in the, which is here. Yeah, just because I felt a bit of tension in my own trees, that's why I'm inviting you to work there. Just open the door, and getting the control of your own door, setting boundaries is going to prevent you to be as the hangman. So we learn, we work in a tree, we connect with the justice on the 11. Then we understand there is nothing to control except our own will. And then we understand we are not hostage of reality. That's a big one. Sometimes it looks like we are just like this hangman, hostage of this reality, hostage of others, hostage of our families or business or wherever. And when I'm talking about that, because Jin Shin Jyutsu is art of living, and we need to be able to apply that to our lives. So then we have 13. Yep. So for those that are aware, what is the 13? Is the death in the tarot. So in this one, I love this card. I just love the Mythic Tarot. That's why I brought, and I don't work with that. Is the Hades, the god of the underworld. And these people surrender to him. And that's a very beautiful life there. And this one, it's a bit more scary, which is the death, as we see, that's gonna take everyone. What I love about this card is that you have here heads of kings and heads of peasants. So that's what the death is. And that's number 13. And in our part, 13, and it's here in the Mary's note, it's fertility, reproductive function, love your enemies, and Mary wrote something here which is very challenging. It is the kingdom of spirit is embodied in flesh. That's her own letter here. So what the 13 has to do with death? What is that relationship between love your enemies and the death, the card of death? That took me a while to understand, but it's related with Scorpio. And we have this idea that death can set us free, but the tarot cards and the journey doesn't end on the 13th. Yeah, we got the 14, then we got the 15, then we got the 16, and on. So what part of this journey we're talking about when you're talking about the 13? Love your enemies. It is about forgiveness. Of course, that's pretty clear. It's in the Bible. I'm not being any creative here. It is about let all this part of us that try to control just die. That's what I understand here. And the 13 is imaginative intelligence. Love your enemies. And I hang well. It took me 12 years to share any insight, so I've been thinking a bit. I think we create these enemies based in this idea that someone is controlling us. So then, how I set myself free? Have no enemies. There's no enemies because there is no enemies. While I'm hanging, and that's why the death, or let's say that's why the 13 cut everything and set us free. So it's cut all this fantasy, this imagination that there is enemies. So most of the time, we do have hard experience. I'm not in Pollyanna land. I'm not part of that group, and I don't believe in toxic positiveness, you know. And when I say there is no enemies, it's in the meaning that there's people that they hurt us and they want to hurt us, and they have to do that as intentional. I have no doubt on that as the therapist. But the point is, when we work in our 13s, we are set ourselves free from these people. We're not thinking about them anymore. And eventually, if someone that's in your life is an enemy, you can ask yourself, why are you not able to apply the death card? I'm not talking about homicide, guys. I'm talking about doing that, taking off from your life. So again, if we work with our trees, work with our boundaries. We open and close our door. Then 11, and connect with the justice, the high justice. Then 12, which there is nothing to control, so there's no battles. So if there is no battles, there is no enemies. I only have enemies if I'm in a battle, if I'm in a war. But if I'm connecting the higher dimensions, I'm not in a war, I'm in my path. I'm still the fool learning how to walk. So this death card is definitely not the end, because you have the 13, you have the 14, right? So 12, 13. Set ourselves free from control, from enemies. And we learn that our enemies are ourselves. And it's because we keep hanging. So I do think, and that's my, looks like a little joke, but it's an insight. We have to use this tool of the death to set the hangman free, you see? It's a play that's not in any book. Working through our 13s, we cut the cord that keep the hangman as a prisoner. And sometimes we see that in a tarot reading. So we are not a victim. We are not passive. We are not consequent of our lives. We are the beginning of the action. We are number one. We are cause of our life. Why I'm saying that? Why I'm using these terms? Because everything in nature, everything in life is cause and consequence, or cause and effect, if you want. I talk about that in the previous encounters, cause and consequence. So that's what free will is about. Free will is when I cut myself from everything that's holding me back, which is emotional pain, usually, to be able to set myself free. Beautiful, yeah, but then we don't die because we have 14, 15, and 16. So just sharing some insights, some plan. So then we have our 14th, which is, wow, that's a break. Got the death, we clean the energy, we love our enemies because we understand there is no enemies, because we understand we can set ourselves free from these people through forgiveness. One point about forgiveness again is that if we don't forgive, we need to revenge. Then we are connected with this person. You know what I mean? The opposite of forgiveness is revenge. There's no middle term, right? Or you forgive or you revenge, mentally, emotionally. And sometimes you revenge hurting yourself, so the person feel guilt. We have so many strategies, so many ways to use our tools, as we are the fool, remember, from the beginning. So in this way, looking in that perspective, forgiveness is the opposite of revenge, which means I'm walking away. And sometimes you're not able to walk away physically, but we can walk away emotionally. I'm not going to revenge, so I forgive you, but doesn't mean I'm going to let you keep abusing me anyway. I think we have to get this very clear, and I always make this point. Then we have the temperance. Ooh, are we in paradise now? 14, temperance. Is this time after death? Wow, it's like a bardo something. There's could be the beautiful, how they say this, heaven or whatever, you know. So the 14s kind of in the tarot looks like saying, hey, it gives us a break. right? It's just a break, just fresh air. Beautiful. Look at this. Is the rainbow, is the iris, it's just mixing the energy, earth and heaven. Looks like we die, now we go to paradise. And our 14s are exactly that, right? It's between here, heaven and earth, supporting our life. Well, but we already died. So it's supporting life, it's supporting this bridge between life and death, and between what? Transformation. 13 is the commitment to transform your life. So the 14 is going to support this transformation. Even physically, right? You can see that. So what I'm presenting you is the safety energy logs and the tarot reading of that. So playing that numbers, safety energy logs, and tarot meanings. So 14 is about time too. Now, even we know 5, 6, 7, 8 is about the time. 14 is the time. Maintains the personal existence. It's here in the Mary's book. So 14 is the man sustains, preserves, and maintains the personal existence. So, okay, injustice, release myself from the fantasy of control, forgive my enemies. And now I understand, as a man, as a human being, I have to sustain, preserve, and maintain my personal existence in earth or heaven. So it doesn't matter if I'm physically alive or not. Whatever is, I'm responsible for sustain, preserve, and maintain my existence. Very good, beautiful, tentative intelligence, adaptation. Very nice. That's the 14th. Then, when you think you're going to paradise, right? That was my point. See, able to do. We meet the devil. Huh? How'd that happen? Why? 15 is the devil card. Why it's there? Well, it's because Mary's following these numbers with the tarot, and the devil card is there in our journey. What is the devil? So the devil card is very misinterpreted, I say, and because in this one, which I like, they're dancing. You know, that's fun, and they are dancing. The devil is holding them, but they are dancing. And the devil represents temptation. And this one, they are holding there, you see, but they are not uncomfortable at all. There is no suffering here, right? You see that as a journey, as a picture, as an image. And there is another one from another tarot. Oh, it's here. Yeah. Which is very interesting. That's the psychological Jungian tarot. And I picked that because Mary was studying Jung too. Look at that devil doing nothing here. These people were just wrapped there. And what Mary wrote here with her own letter is, we can make no effort to be free until we feel are limitless. So I think what she means here is like when we realize until we feel our limitation. Yeah. So until we realize our limitation, we won't be free. She called that renewing intelligence that brings laugh and joy. So how the devil is such a nice safety energy lock. We love that. Yeah, love that one. The clean your heart with joy and laugh. And it's the devil card, such a bad card. Actually, again, when we hold our 15s, it's my interpretation, we are setting ourselves free from this devil, from all these things that make us a prisoner. And then we are able to laugh and have fun because we understand, we feel our limitations is a creation in this whole plan. Because, as I said in the beginning, we are absolutely free from every limitation because we are spirited in the model. So when we hold our 15s with this awareness, we are set ourselves free from all this prison, all this devil, whatever we see as a devil. And it is temptation, it is desire, but not desire as, oh, I want things that are nice. I'm getting to the Tower card. But it's these things that we desire for power, for competition, the things that make enemies, the things that we cannot sustain or support. We just want that. That would be the temptation. But if we actually are able to work with our 11, bringing justice, set ourselves free from all fantasy of power and control, understand there is no enemies because we are not in a battle. And we are the only responsible to sustain our life. We can laugh and set ourselves free from this devil, because the devil is mainly illusion. And then we keep the fun part, which is sensorial parts, our animal parts, but make us nature. That's why you got the pun there. And renewing intelligence, we make ourselves new. So the devil card keep us in the old model. So when we want to set ourselves free, well, we have the Tower 16, as Wayne told us. 2 minutes for that. Give me one more time, Harry. So the Tower card 16, as Wayne said in his class, was the favorite card. Well, he said his favorite number of Mary. So I say, as the favorite card, look at that. So we set ourselves free from the devil, from all this illusion of what we want, because we connect with the justice of divine purpose. And then we got disruption. People are so afraid with this card, and they should be afraid, I would say, because if you build your life under control, you try to keep everything under control, and it's all based in these illusions, you still have a 16 to go over. 16 is not nobody in our lives. It's my image is always that before we born, we receive a tarot deck, with just a major arcana. Nobody has a tarot deck without a tower. Thank God we have our 16 to release this understanding. It's a transformation. And it's expression of transformation. And what Mary said in the self-help book, which I have it here, is breaking down of existing forms for new ones. So if we think about this journey that we start on the 26th, so the 0 all elements, total complete. Then we move to number 1, in our knees, starting the journey of the magician. Then we open the door a bit, we balance our boundaries, number 3. Then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We release ourselves from the devil. And now is the time to surrender to the transformation. Why is so important right now? Why I said I want to talk about that right now? The 15, the devil, is the last safety lock of the second depth, which is the last experience of sadness that comes from attachment. That's the devil. What is the first experience of the third depth? 16. The key is the tower, disruption. But what kind of disruption? We made a journey until the 15 to set ourselves free. And sometimes we want to hold what we got. Then this disruption is very painful because we want transformation, we want justice, we want health and all that, but we don't want to let it go. And then we get stuck in the devil, in the attachment, in the second depth. And now in the world, in the planet, we are just going through huge tower card. That's transformation. And it's the basis of all human activity. We are here to transform, to walk in this journey, not to hold in the hangman, not to die in the death, not to rest in paradise and the temperance, not to keep things so because they are going to disappear, they are illusions. We're here to transform. That's the basis. And that's what's going on now. Everything is changing. And if you want to be happy, you go through that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then go to your 16, which is the base. Yeah, let's see if I can show for those. I'm going to do better next time. Here, I don't know if you can see. And then I can show you here the book. It's better holding the 16. And here Mary wrote, which is going to be my conclusion on the 16. Remember, each number has its own inner meaning and purpose. So she's talking about 16 related with the tarot cards, because that's the study. That's what I'm showing you. From the beginning, all this meaning came from these drawings. She wouldn't put the tarot card there because for the time and for many people would be too esoteric, and some still try to do medical doctor stuff, and I'm totally fine with that. But no one is going to tell me Mary wasn't connected with the numerology and with the tarot, because it's here in her notes. And what she said is self-knowledge is the key to be. The third app that starts on the 16th is the key. So the key is embrace transformation and change your life through this path, the journey, because you're going to have the disruption anyway for new forms. Then we got 17, which I'm not going through because I'm going to be dense today. And then we got our 17, which is the star. And it's Pandora card with beautiful hope inside. Yeah, the whole bad stuff. The Pandora is other. I'm going to talk about 17 another day because I love the story. But okay, 17, I'm going to give us that. As a psychologist, as our intuition. So how we know where to go, because when we have the disruptions, let's see, where's my star card, because I didn't plan on that. Star card want to be off. So that's the Pandora. So when we make the transformation, it's actually, and we all that are being to self-knowledge process, we open the Pandora box and everything shows up. All the trauma, all the enemies. But I said there is no enemies, doesn't look like. That's the journey. We open the box so we are able to transform. Yeah, we're transforming, we open the box, then we see what's inside. And sometimes we see ugly stuff, but they're all a consequence of the devil things that we are attached to. So 17 is our intuition. How can I keep going? It's so difficult to transform. It's so difficult to change. Intuition. 16 help us to change. 17 to show how to change. Someone calling me. Through, again, connecting the high level, the earth, because it's an 8. So inside the Pandora box, there is the hope. So we connect with our intuition and then we hope things get better. Let me tell you, girls, guys, friends, folks, if the hope is inside of Pandora box, where all the bad things of the world is inside, hope will not be a good thing too. We don't hope things get better. We make things get better. We change ourselves and transform our lives. I'm not saying it's easy. What I'm saying is that using the art and this path, we help our journey through the total and complete fool. We always are. But a total and complete fool is awareness that just know it is a journey. So nothing to be attached because we are in movement. Let me go and start number 1 again. So hope it didn't get too dark, but you know, philosophers, we talked a little bit like that. But as JIN SHIN, physio-philosopher, JIN SHIN JYUTSU, we have our safety energy locks to make our journey more interesting. Okay. That's all I have to say. And I don't give much time for questions. Haha. But I'm here. Okay, Terry.
Okay. Wow is one expression that comes to mind. And I'm hoping that Tais is going to continue the journey with us because it's very rich, or at least it is for me. So if you'd like to show your face or raise your hand, that'd be great. If you have anything you'd like to ask Tais at this point, just raise your hand. Oh,
No
all pretty,
questions, of course.
yeah, all pretty speechless, yeah.
Yes,
Mickey,
that's the point.
Mickey,
Okay.
also a rat, raised her
Uh,
hand.
of course, Mickey
Yes, I went
Mouse.
and looked. Yes, that's my nickname is Mickey from my league. Anyway, yes, come back. We want to hear the end of the story. Cycle
Well,
transmutation, 17.
well, we have the beginning. We have
Yes,
the beginning of the story from 1 to 9.
yes,
Then I tell the end.
yes. Thank you.
I come back. It was very,
Just what I
very
needed to hear today.
good. That's the motivation that is meaningful for we all, including me, which is Terry. We met in 2004. It's always a pleasure to be with him. And it's always a pleasure to share my insights with friends.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you referenced that book. The only book I was reflecting on, was that the 1966 text, or is it a completely different compilation that you were privy to?
You mean this one?
Yeah, the one with Mary's understanding of the tarot, etc.
That
I've not
was never published. That's
no.
secret, I
Ah,
guess.
ah,
That was my 40 years old present. It's not a simple thing. I'm 52, so I'm giving you guys a present from my 52 as the insights, as sharing that. It's completing the present.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it wasn't published. Well, maybe some instructors have it too. Interesting.
yeah. Many instructors has that. It's just because it's notes from it's her studies. That's how she was studying. We all have the study and the art and the meaning of the safe energy locks and the numbers. And part of my motivation to make that clear for you that you can feel very comfortable when you attend a class and someone talk about numerology, that was Mary's teachings. And you can say, yes, it was in the book with her hand, and there is reference as a philosopher, very boring, peek in every part to check what is going on. So
Interesting.
it can be
Yeah,
very
so I'll just echo what Mickey said. Back, come back. Not to Mordor, but just come back.
maybe
Harmonize.
still is here, yeah. So we keep that fresh as a
Yeah, no, it would be very rewarding, I think, or certainly for myself and others, for you to follow up at some point. I have only one very quick question. You alluded to 4 elements, and then you said something about the 5th element. What was that connection? Because we're more familiar with the 5 elements with Jin Shin.
well, it's because in the Western we think for elements, fire. So wherever you think it's Western, we think in the 4 elements, physical level, emotional level, mental level, and spiritual level.
Yeah.
4 elements, so earth, water, fire, and air. And in the Eastern medicine, like Japanese and Chinese, you have the 5th element, which is ki. And for Jin Shin, because it's Japan, you got the 3rd ep. It is the ki. Yeah.
Right.
So you don't have that in the tarot, but I can say we got the oval here. Yeah, maybe the key is us, is ourselves. So that's also in the tarot, we always have a reference for 4 elements. And Mary has in the end of this book, so but that's not in the 22nd. She says the 22 is the total and complete because it's all 4 elements plus the 1 there. So she got the 5th. That's what is interesting about that. It's
And I'm interested that you used the reference in the numbers to 0 to 26, because I had my wrist slapped over that and was told, no, it's not the 0, it's the oval. But actually, Mary wrote 0 to 26. So thank you for making that distinction.
that's 0.
Yeah, yeah. But I was, you know, teachers would say to me, no, Terry, it's not the zero, it's the oval.
Yeah, well, and yeah, because if you see technically, you know, in this deck that has numbers, some decks doesn't have numbers, the mythic deck doesn't have, the psychological deck doesn't have, but this has, so that's no number because the zero is the beginning and the end, and the 21, why is 22? Because it start in the zero, so it doesn't start in the one, and
Sure,
the 21 is actually safe energy lock 22.
gotcha. Yeah, no,
See,
that's a
that's,
great distinction. I appreciate that.
yeah, so that's
Well,
the point.
yeah. So, folks, I don't know if you're, well, those of you that are still here, I did want to briefly just mention, I'll just share my screen very quickly. Coming up shortly, October the 19th, for those of you that are studying Jin Shin Jyutsu, I will be hosting a webinar led by Susie Plattner on the answer sheet. And you can go to JSJMB there it is, jinshinjutsuspiritmindbody.com, and sign up there. October the 19th, we'll be discussing the answer sheet. All right, so a replay of this will be available in between 24 and 48 hours. The reason the previous webinar is not up yet, that Beth Lendrum and I did on mental emotional anxieties, is because Beth's son is editing certain things, but it will eventually be up. October the 10th coming up will be Lisa Gritton from San Diego, who most of you have met before, and myself. We're going to be looking at the Jin Shin lifestyle. It's actually number 8 in the list. We're going forward a bit. We're missing one, looking at the effect of poisonous injections into the body. And then October the 24th, the postponed webinar with Jenny Swayzicki, accidents that happen and affecting the body. So that's to come, so stay tuned. And we'll look forward to having Tais again, I hope. Maybe not this year, but certainly in 2025, unless you're going to tell me that you're all booked up. Just one more big thank you to you, Tais. That was very interesting. Answers and questions. At the moment, I have a lot more answers than questions, but I may come up with a few more questions. So thank you for that. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Always a pleasure. And have a good rest of the day, weekend, rest of the week, until October the 10th, when we hopefully will all meet again. So I'm going to stop the recording. Yeah.